Sometimes the greatest love in the world is the one nobody sees. Two twins born together, one with a heart made of gold, always giving, always caring. The other, proud, admired, adored, but never understanding the quiet sacrifices that protected her every day. The world praised the louder one, but destiny watched the quieter one, because kindness is never wasted, even when it goes unnoticed, even when it goes unappreciated, even when the world pretends it never happened. It waits, silently, patiently, and one day, when the world falls apart and every door closes and every light fades, those unseen kindnesses return, not as rewards, but as miracles. This is the story of two sisters, one who loved silently, and one who learned the most powerful gift is the one you never see at first. They had always been different, not in the way the world measured difference, but in the quiet ways life revealed character, born together, raised together, but shaped by the world so differently. Their names were Amara and Lila. Amara, the kind twin, with black skin that glowed like polished dusk and eyes full of softness, like she carried the quiet understanding of the world inside her. She moved gently, spoke gently, felt everything deeply. She was the one who noticed when others were hurting, even if they never said a word. Lila, the praised twin, with white skin and brown hair that framed her face like she had stepped out of a magazine. She walked like the world belonged to her, talked like everyone should listen, and smiled like she was made of confidence itself. People gravitated to her. Teachers adored her. Classmates admired her. Neighbors remembered her. But no one remembered Amara, not because she lacked beauty, not because she lacked light, but because the world often sees volume before value. Lila shined loudly. Amara shined silently, and silence rarely gets applause. Their mother worked long hours. Their father left when they were small. So by the time they were 12, the twins had learned to depend on each other, or at least Amara depended on herself to keep Lila safe. It started with little things. Amara noticed when Lila forgot her homework, so she quietly helped her finish it. Amara noticed when Lila was sad, so she was the one who stayed up late, listening without asking for anything back. Amara noticed when Lila was being bullied online once, so she comforted her until she slept. But Lila never thanked her, not because she didn't care, but because she never saw how much Amara did. Because real kindness often happens when no one is watching. One cold morning at school, a boy grabbed Lila's backpack and ripped it just to impress his friends. Lila cried. The boy walked away laughing. Lila didn't tell anyone, but Amara saw the tear. Amara saw the hurt that Lila tried to hide behind pride. So, that evening while Lila slept, Amara sewed the backpack back together. Her stitches were messy. Her fingers shook. The thread tangled. But she kept going, slowly, carefully, trying not to wake her sister. When Lila woke up the next morning, she saw the backpack fixed, almost good as new. She didn't ask who did it. She just said, "Good. I don't have to buy another one," and walked away. No thank you, no hug, no smile. Amara simply nodded and said, "I'm glad you're happy." But inside, her heart whispered, "I wish you knew." A week later, Lila joined the most popular friend group at school. Suddenly, her life changed. Louder laughs, bigger crowds, prettier pictures, and endless attention. Meanwhile, Amara carried her heavy books alone, ate lunch alone, walked home alone. But still, she stayed close. Close enough to protect. Close enough to help. Close enough to love. Love isn't always equal. But Amara loved anyway. Then came that day, the day that should have been small, but became everything. Lila forgot her notebook for an important class presentation. Panic spread across her face. Real panic. The kind that breaks you from the inside. Amara saw her. She didn't hesitate. She ran all the way home in the cold wind, her lungs burning, her legs shaking, to get Lila's notebook. She sprinted back, her heart pounding, sweat mixing with tears. She reached the classroom door, just in time. She placed a notebook in Lila's hands. Lila didn't look at her. She was too busy smiling for class, accepting applause. Nobody knew who saved her. Nobody clapped for Amara. She simply returned to her seat, chest rising and falling, breath trembling, heart quiet. Because love doesn't ask for recognition. Love simply gives. But destiny was watching, always, silently collecting every unseen kindness, for the day it would return, as miracles. Quando a noite caía, o homem retornava ao seu pequeno quarto, espaço apertado e cheio de objetos reciclados, que para outros não passava de sucata, mas para ele era santuário silencioso. Ali, sentado no chão, ele apoiava sua guitarra velha e começava a tocar. Cada corda ressoava não apenas sons, mas sonhos. Cada nota era uma promessa silenciosa. Dia, alguém ouvirá. A luz da lua se infiltrava por uma fresta da janela quebrada, iluminando partículas de poeira que flutuavam no ar, transformando o ambiente simples em cenário mágico. Enquanto dedilhava, flashes de memórias invadiam sua mente. Crianças correndo e rindo na rua, vizinhos que não acreditavam nele, pessoas que o ignoravam. Mas ele continuava, imerso na música, cada acorde carregando esperança, cada melodia, coragem. O som de sua guitarra misturava-se ao toque distante do sino da igreja, quase como se o universo estivesse respondendo, sinalizando que algo grandioso estava por vir. Seu corpo se movia com a música, os olhos fechados, a respiração profunda, cada gesto expressando emoções e palavras jamais conseguiriam descrever. Era um homem comum, mas sua música tinha a capacidade de tocar corações, mesmo quando ninguém ao redor parecia perceber. Ele não estava apenas tocando uma guitarra, ele estava desenhando seu futuro, construindo o palco que um dia seria real. The world did not end in one moment. It ended slowly, the way winter replaces autumn, quietly, steadily, without announcement. Lila had once been the girl whose name floated through laughter and whispers and admiration. Her footsteps used to echo with importance. Crowds parted for her. Shiny eyes followed her, and she believed, truly believed, that being seen was the same thing as being loved. But now, everything was different. The hallway felt colder than it had before. Not because the season had changed, but because she had changed. The friends who once linked arms with her now walked past, as though she were invisible. Their laughter still echoed, but she was no longer inside it. For the first time, she felt the sting of silence. The silence Amara had lived inside for years. She stood at her locker, fingers trembling slightly as she tried to keep her breathing steady. It was strange how heavy loneliness felt. It was not just sadness. It was something larger, something that sat behind the ribs and pressed inward. She glanced up. Amara was there, just a few steps away, close enough to comfort, far enough to give space, present without forcing herself to be acknowledged. That was the difference between them. Lila had always needed to be seen. Amara only needed to be there. No spotlight, no witnesses, no applause, just presence. The bell rang. Students rushed past. Books slammed into lockers. Backpacks zipped open. Voices overlapped like waves crashing on shore. And Lila felt as though she were standing inside a snow globe, on display, but untouched. She swallowed. The kind of swallow that hurts because it carries too many words. Amara stepped closer, her walk slow and gentle, like she had learned long ago how to move through a world that didn't notice her. "Are you okay?" she asked softly. No pressure, no expectation, just care. Lila's eyes stung. She didn't want to cry. Not here, not in front of the hall, not in front of her sister, the sister she had ignored, dismissed, overshadowed. But tears have a way of rising when the heart is tired of being strong. She nodded once, but the nod broke halfway through. Her voice cracked like thin glass. "I don't know who I am anymore." The words were small, but they were true. Amara didn't rush to answer. She didn't try to fix it. She didn't try to fill the silence. She simply stepped closer and placed her hand, warm, steady, on Lila's shaking hand. "You've always been Lila," she said softly. "The world just praised the wrong parts of you." Lila looked up, really looked, into her sister's eyes. There was no judgment there, no resentment, No, finally you understand. Only love. Love without condition. Love without memory of harm. Love that stays. They walked together down the hallway. Slowly. Quietly. Side by side. Footsteps in sync. Not because they were twins, but because they were finally choosing to walk together. Lila didn't speak. She didn't need to. Amara had always understood silence better than anyone. For years, Lila had believed that love must be loud to be real. Flowers, compliments, applause, attention. But now she could finally see the loudest love in her life had always been the quietest. The love that stayed after the cheering stopped. The love that did not need to be seen to be true. The love that held her while she hurt. The love that had always been hers. Amara, but change is not acceptance. And realization is not transformation. There is a difference between understanding love and knowing how to give it back. Lila was still learning. So when they reached the classroom door, she paused. Her hand hovered over the handle. Her breath slowed. What if they laugh? She asked, voice thin as thread. Amara didn't say, they won't. She didn't lie. She simply said, if they laugh, you'll walk through it. And I'll walk with you. Not for you, with you. Because love does not carry someone. Love stands beside them while they carry themselves. Lila nodded. It was small, but it was a beginning of becoming. They entered the classroom together. And though the whispers came, sharp, cutting, unkind, Lila did not break. Because this time, she wasn't standing alone. That night, the house was quiet. There were no echoes of laughter, no shared videos, no notifications buzzing endlessly, only the soft hum of a heater, and the quiet rhythm of two hearts learning to be near again. Lila stood in the doorway of their room. For the first time, she didn't walk in loudly. She didn't toss her bag on the bed. She didn't talk endlessly about her day. She simply watched. Amara was sitting on her bed, head bowed slightly, folding Lila's jacket, the one she had dropped earlier, with the same gentle care she had always given. The sight struck Lila like a memory. Not a single moment, but thousands layered, stacked, woven together. The repaired backpack, the homework, the late-night comfort, the quiet protection, the soft presence. Her entire life had been held together by hands she had never thanked. She felt her throat tighten, her chest pull inward, her heartbeat grow heavy. She whispered, not loud, not confident, but real, Amara, why? Amara looked up, not confused, not surprised, just patient. Why what? Why did you keep loving me, even when I didn't love you back? Amara smiled, small, warm, sad in a way only love can be sad. Because loving you never hurt me, she said. What hurt was knowing you didn't know I was loving you. The words were simple, but they hit with the weight of years. Lila stepped further into the room. But I was rude. I was selfish. I made you feel invisible. Amara didn't correct her. She didn't soften the truth. She simply nodded once. Yes, the honesty was not cruel. It was freeing. Lila sank to the floor, the weight of her own heart finally too heavy to hold. Tears slid down her cheeks, slow at first, then faster, falling like a confession that couldn't be spoken. I'm sorry, she whispered. Not dramatic, not loud, not desperate, just real. Amara moved from the bed and sat on the floor beside her. She didn't pull Lila into a hug. She didn't wipe her tears. She didn't whisper SH or it's okay. She simply sat, with her, like she always had. Lila leaned her head against her sister's shoulder, gently, carefully, like she was finally learning how to love softly. They stayed like that for a long time. No noise, no lights, no performance. Two hearts, after years of speaking different languages, finding the same rhythm. That night, something changed. Not loudly, not suddenly, but deeply. Lila did not become perfect overnight. She didn't transform dramatically. She didn't become a new person. She simply chose to see her sister, see love, see kindness, see what truly mattered. And seeing is the beginning of healing. Later, As they climbed into their beds, Lila whispered into the dark, "Amara, thank you for never leaving." Amara smiled into her pillow, a smile full of peace. "I didn't stay because I had to," she whispered. "I stayed because love is a gift, not a trade." The room fell quiet, but the silence was no longer empty. It was full, warm, shared. Winter had loosened its grip. The snow melted, and the first hints of spring brushed the world with softness again. The kind of softness that felt like forgiveness. Amara and Lila walked to school together now. Not out of necessity, but out of choice. Their steps matched. Their breaths synced. Their hearts learning how to speak the same language again. But the world does not simply reward goodness overnight. And love, even when it is finally shared, is not always enough to protect someone from pain. One morning, Amara collapsed. It happened quietly, like everything in her life had happened. No drama, no screams, just silence. She was reaching for a book on the top shelf at school when her fingers slipped and her knees buckled. Her eyes fluttered. Her breath caught. The world tilted. They rushed her to the hospital. Lila had never run so fast in her life. Her lungs burned. Her throat tightened. Her heartbeat hammered like something was breaking itself from the inside, trying to reach her sister. She remembered the countless times Amara ran for her, without applause, without witnesses. Now it was her turn. She held Amara's hand in the ambulance, whispering her name like it was a prayer she had just learned how to speak. "Please stay with me. Don't leave. I just found you." The hospital smelled of sterile air and cold floors. Machines beeped steadily. Too steadily, too calm for the way Lila's heart fractured. Doctors ran tests. Nurses moved swiftly. Time stretched into something heavy. Then the doctor spoke. "Anemia. Severe. Long-term. She's been weakening for years." Has she been giving away food? Skipping meals? Overworking? Putting others before herself? Lila felt something inside her shatter. She remembered the lunches. The nights Amara gave her the last of the food. The excuses of, "I'm not hungry," said with too soft a smile. The quiet sacrifices. They weren't invisible because they were small. They were invisible because Lila never looked. She sat beside Amara's bed. The sunlight filtered gently through the curtains, casting warm gold over her sister's face. A face that looked too pale now, too fragile, too worn from loving too deeply and too quietly. Lila reached out, brushing her fingers through Amara's curls, slowly, carefully, reverently, as though touching something sacred. "Why didn't you tell me?" Her voice cracked. Amara opened her eyes, tired but warm. "I didn't want your love to come from guilt." Lila broke. Completely. Tears spilled. Not sharp, not wild, but heavy, slow, full of weight and years. "You don't have to earn love," Lila whispered. "You deserved it the whole time. I just never saw it." Amara smiled, small, peaceful. "I knew one day you would." Lila leaned forward, forehead resting gently against Amara's. "I see you now. I'll always see you now." Their hands intertwined. This time, the silence between them wasn't empty. It was full, full of love, full of apology, full of promise. Months passed. Amara recovered, slowly, steadily, like flowers opening in spring. And Lila was different now, not in a dramatic, movie-like transformation, but in quiet ways. She walked slower, so Amara didn't walk alone. She listened more, because now she understood silence had meaning. She loved, not loudly, not for attention, but with presence. The world noticed, not because Lila announced it, but because true change glows. Graduation day arrived. Blue gowns, shiny shoes, families hugging, cameras flashing. The air buzzed with endings and beginnings. Lila had been chosen to give the graduation speech. Once, that would have fed her pride. Today it humbled her. She stepped up to the podium. Her voice shook, not from fear, but from truth. "Everyone knows me," she began. "And for a long time, I thought that meant I mattered." The crowd quieted. But I was wrong. Being seen isn't the same as being loved. She looked at Amara, sitting in the front row, hands folded over her heart, eyes shining. There is someone here who taught me what love really is. Love is not loud. Love is not applause. Love is not attention. Her voice trembled. Love is a quiet gift that keeps protecting you even when you don't notice it. The audience looked around, wondering who she was speaking about. Lila placed her hand over her heart. My sister, Amara, loved me when I didn't deserve it, held me when I didn't ask, saved me when I didn't see her. Amara's eyes filled, not with surprise, but with recognition. Lila continued, I thought miracles were big things, but I understand now. Miracles are the unseen kindnesses we give, because they always come back to us. A hush fell over the room. Lila stepped down from the stage, walked straight to Amara, and in front of everyone, not for attention, not for approval, but for truth, she hugged her. The audience didn't cheer immediately. They watched, because something sacred was unfolding. Then, applause, not for Lila's speech, but for Amara's love. The love the world never saw, now visible. Amara's kindness had returned, not as reward, not as recognition, but as a miracle. The miracle of being truly seen, the miracle of being truly loved.